am Lottie.
And I'm Mark.
This is
Showtime
Showtime Shenanigans. How is life?
Life is pretty great, you know.
Is it?
No, terrible. I just thought I'd try and like get some energy in this, and it's just failing straight.
Woo!
What?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shout. I got excited. I'd wrap myself up. Okay. Well, great. I'm glad life is going good for you, kind of. Ish.
How about you?
It's all right. It's about minus 700 degrees.
I feel that.
Especially in this room right now. But it's fine. We roll with it. Should we just get straight in there? Oh, no, wait. First. Wait, no. When's this episode coming out? No, don't worry. Ignore me. Never mind. Let's just go straight into it. You go.
Oh, so today I've got the lengthy paragraphs to read. So today, actor of the hour.
Go for. Yes.
What we're going with? Actor of the hour?
Yes, I think so.
Brilliant. Because I know we had a bit of...
Actor of the week, actor of the hour. It changed names a few times. But
Actor of the something.
Actor of something, yeah.
Actor of the life. Anyway, so today's actor is Michael Crawford. My mum listening. Strap yourself in.
Lynn,
Bumpy
you're
ride.
gonna learn some things.
So
she probably knows it all.
Yeah. I mean, I've just found out something reading it before doing the podcast, so this is great already for me. So, first stage appearance was in Sammy the Little Sweep in the school production of Let's Make an Opera. This transferred to the Brixton Town Hall. Ooh. Already getting a transfer, and he's only like a child.
Basically, what I was going for with that, because it literally said first stage appearance, I just put it because it like transferred, which doesn't normally happen with a school play, and I just thought it was really weird. So there you go.
Anyway, so at 19, he was approached to play Junior Salem in the film The War Lover.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, if I'm not reading this right, can you let me know? Because it's like kind of like greyish.
Oh, I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just gonna go with it. Cool. So his Broadway debut was in black comedy. Whilst in the show, he was noticed by Gene Kelly,
the icon,
and was called to audition for the film adaptation of Hello, Dolly.
Yeah, I have got it in front of me. Don't worry. I just found the picture that I sent you.
Cool. Roles include Billy Liar in Billy, P.T. Barnum in Barnum, and Phantom in Phantom of the Opera, and the Wizard in The Wizard of Oz, and also older Leo Coulson in The Go-Betweens.
Yeah, that's obviously not all the roles he's done, but
no, I think he's a West.
We'd be here for weeks.
he's quite a big film star as well, so he's put in lots of films. Just Google him. Just have a nice time.
Yeah, I didn't include all
he's
those.
He's won many awards, including 2 Oliviers for Barnum and Phantom, and he also won a Tony for playing Phantom on Broadway and in LA.
Yes.
Cool. Anyway, along with this, he has 17 solo albums.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably the proud owner of all of 17.
He's probably got some secret 18th that we don't know about.
And he's won 12 cast albums. That's the way to get shiz done.
That
anyway,
make the bank.
Crawford was unemployed for a short, brief period. At this time, he was in Alice in Wonderland.
No, after he was in Alice in Wonderland, he was unemployed for a bit.
No.
Read, Mark.
Literally says for a brief period of time after he. Oh, I saw the after now. Oh.
This is why I read them.
Anyway, after Alice in Wonderland, so he helped his wife stuff cushions for the upholstery business and took a job as an office clerk in an electrical company to pass the time between.
And he also got divorced from his wife during that time.
At times, really.
Fact for you. Are you good?
To study the accent for the film, The War Lover, he used to spend hours listening to Woody Woodbury, a famous American comedian of the time. Lovely. During the run of Phantom in LA, he was asked to perform Music of the Night at the inaugural gala for President George W. Bush in Washington. In 2002, in the television poll of the 100 Greatest Britons, he was voted number 17 for the Greatest Britain living.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the Queen stood on that list, by the way. I was trying to find her and I couldn't. And I was like, Queen Victoria was on there, but I couldn't see Liz. And I was like,
Savage. Anyway, that's Michael Crawford more, but that's a little snippet.
What?
I was saying there's so much more about him.
Oh yeah, I probably would have filled up my notebook if I'd have written everything. So I was like, 2 pages is enough. Okie dokie then. Key change of the week this week is a different one that not many, I feel like less people would know, because I didn't fully know. Okay.
Ooh, sorry. Carry on.
What was that? Did you just click your fingers? Like crack your...
I didn't mean to. I just kind of like pushed myself up and I just went...
Ew, gross. Okay. Basically, it's from Dear Evan Hansen, but it's on the deluxe album, so it's not actually in the show. But it is, kind of. It's Disappear, but the acoustic version. Now, I re-listened to the normal version a minute ago just to double check. The version in the show doesn't have a key change in, but the acoustic version does. Because obviously the acoustic version doesn't have all the talking bit. They have the middle bit where they do like when you're falling in a forest. And then he does like big...
That's sung.
Huh?
That's sung in the show as well, babe.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
I mean in this version, I'm telling them where the key change is. Vague. So they do that little bit, and then he does, I think he says like, all you need is for somebody to find you, and he does like this really long note, and the key changes, and the other guy's like, it's really great. And I like that version has a key change in it, but the normal original version does not. I think that's pretty cool. So
we love a change.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to me.
All right. I need to write down your fact in the book because I haven't got it down.
So my fun fact of this week is that when Booble and Schonberg were in the UK, they were watching Oliver, and they'd previously written a show called Les Mis, but it kind of flopped quite like whilst it was in France. Anyway, so whilst they're in the theatre watching Oliver, Booble saw the Artful Dodger come on stage and was like, he reminds me of Gavroche, and then that sparked him to rewrite and continue working on Les Mis.
I actually did know that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did know that, and I think that's pretty cool though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also, weirdly enough, Cammy Max produced Oliver, hasn't he? So.
Yes. So the idea, well, what happened was he, one of like Cameron's like team was like, yo, these guys are writing a show, you should listen to it. And
yeah, he gave Cammy Mac the concept album.
Yeah, and Cameron was like, I just felt something. So we invited them over, they came, saw Oliver, and then they carried on working on it like together at that point, and then Les Mis was born.
Because it didn't like super flop in France, but it did like a run of like concerty kind of thing.
I was watching a little documentary yesterday, and they were talking about like how like the French don't really like take musicals very well. Love a good opera, but like a travelling opera. They don't.
Just sort of opera style.
They don't do very well with like a stationary like show. Yeah. So this might have flopped quite quickly.
Yeah, and I mean it got bad reviews when it opened in London as well, because the critics were like, we don't get it. and now look.
I mean, this is what Karen wanted to change about it originally, was the fact that they wrote it for people that had read the book and not for people that hadn't.
And let's be real, who reads the book?
Exactly.
The book is long.
So they're like, eh. So that makes, obviously, they just like, people are like, I don't get the story because I haven't read the book.
I don't know that bit of like side information that's in the book.
Yeah, I've filled in the gaps for you.
Yeah.
And, actually, I'll save that for another week. I've got another fun fact about Les Mis, so I'll save it for another time.
I love me a Les Mis fun fact.
Me too.
So this week's episode is Room 101. I'm so excited. Theatre edition, of course. So basically, it's different to Unpopular Opinion. So if anyone doesn't know what Room 101 is, quick explanation. Basically, I think it was a TV show, wasn't it?
It was a TV show, and it was amazing because they'd have like a little like thing that would pop up. They'd have like, they'd sat in a chair and like, so my thing's going to Room 101 is this thing, and this like little thing would just pop up, and it'd be like
Ding.
the thing that like made like tiny. So like crisp bags, Room 101.
So basically, Room 101 is the things that you want to put in Room 101 are things that you just think are better off just not in existence anymore. Like they've had their time or whatever. So for example, in like everyday life, oh God, can you think of one quickly?
Just air, oxygen, don't need it. Why do we have
Use it, Room 101. No. No, but like slow walkers, Room 101, get rid of them. Put them in Room 101, get rid of them. Thank you very much. But we're doing theatre edition. So, Mark, would you like to take it away?
Oh, would I? Okay. So my first thing is loud food, whilst on the subject of like food and crisps and all that stuff. So loud food needs to be put in Room 101, especially in a theatre, because when someone opens up a bag of crisps or something like that, or just food in general, like if it's not, I just, because like if people bring stinky food in.
Someone ate a tuna sandwich next to you once.
I went to see Dreamgirls and someone came in late.
Oh.
And then brought tuna pasta and sat there eating it like throughout the beginning of the show. And me and my mum were like
even if you like that, it still smells.
And it's also, you could hear like.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I had it.
Just ban
them. Ban loud food in the theatre. Thank you very much. I had it at Les Mis where a school group came in and one of the boys had a big like jumbo bag of Doritos. Oh, and like it's all you could get through the entire show, and it was awful. And I went to speak to them at the interval, and it just didn't help, and it was the worst. So, and I wasn't even watching the show, and I was mad. Like it actually was so aggravating, just hearing like the rustle and the crunch, and
Honestly, I was having a diva fit that day, but like Jenny, you need to call for a show stop. Like.
Stop the show! Someone's eating Doritos in the Grand. Oh my God! Could you imagine?
Then they would never try and eat again. They'd be like,
They'd be like, I'm never eating Doritos again. I'm scarred. Yes, Room 101, loud food in the theatre. Yeet. I was watching a side note, but still related. I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and it's like someone moving house, and he called it "Yeet It or Keep It." I thought it was really funny. Like, so we're yeeting. I think we're both going to agree with each other. Like, I don't think either of us will disagree. Actually, one of them you might. Okay, I'm going to do my first one. Right. Broadway audiences. Right. So Mark and I have been lucky enough to go to New York and see 2 shows, and they were great, but the audiences are the absolute worst, because every time, like the first time a character comes on stage, they like whoop and cheer and they're like, woo! No matter if it's like I'd get it to an extent if it was like Idina Menzel and you were like, oh my God, but like, just like any character just
comes like internal like that, you don't just like whoop them onto stage.
Yeah. But no offense, but it ruins the bootlegs. No, I'm joking. But like, I was watching a cheeky bootleg the other day, and not like a whole thing. I like watched a clip of something because it just pops up, okay. But like, you can't hear half the line that the person's singing, and also when you're in the audience as well, not just watching bootlegs, because we'll come to that later. But like just in the audience, you can't hear like the whole line that person is singing, and that could be like their one line until their main part, like later on in the show. That could be like their one little singing line. Like, can you just not? Broadway, get your acts together. We don't.
There's also when someone does like a really good note towards the end of a song, you just miss the end of like you miss the good note because everyone's whooping over the good note, and I'm like, no, I want to listen to them dancing their tits off.
I've seen so many clips of Wicked like on TikTok of that, like different people doing a different riff at the end of Defying Gravity, and the amount of times they cheer so loud that you can't hear the last bit that they do. I'm like,
second, just hold a second and then just let it go.
Yeah, because they probably kind of feel like, can you not right now?
You might as well just bum it, but you might as well just like bum it because no one's actually going to hear you. You've done like the one good bit, and wow, so you can just like.
Because also like they might be like, I have something really cool coming up, and you're just going to scream over it. I don't know, but yeah, Broadway audiences, yeet, please, get rid of them. No,
just simmer them down a bit.
The cheering and the whooping unnecessarily in Broadway, because the West End, we just don't do it.
No.
We don't do it.
Although, I saw Dreamgirls back, here we go again, Dreamgirls.
It's kind of situation thinking.
And so, Amber Riley came on stage, but they made a point of when she came on stage to have like the scene pause. She walked to the front, and then she kind of went like, she kind of bowed before she started, and then was like, whoa! And she like carried on.
It's like, what has happened? You know that wasn't her decision.
But also, you can tell that the show was directed by Americans because they expected the UK audience to do what Broadway audiences do, and we don't do that.
No, we're a bit.
We saw Deborah in like Waitress. No one like whooped or did anything until she started singing, and then after she finished, then we're like, well done.
We gave her like the biggest standing ovation ever, but like it's different.
Yeah.
We're just respectful.
We're more like, we have dignity.
We don't need to whoop every time someone comes on stage. This is
not important.
And I mean, it was especially bad for us as well because we saw Waitress and Colleen was in it, so of course you were gonna get the whoopers, but like the whoopers that wouldn't normally whoop. Like, do you know what I mean?
So the thing that leads on from what you were just saying is when you have people that don't really want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have people that are there to see like the one person, like you were saying, like Colleen, but they don't really understand the Broadway community or like in general. Or when you have people that come to a show that are there because their partner made them come and they just don't want to be there.
Men, isn't it?
They're always just rude for no reason.
Yeah, they're like snacking or they're like on their phone.
But that
happens with a lot of couples.
Fine. I'm like, no, it's still not fine.
That happens with a lot of couples, I find. Like the man, especially because obviously we worked at Les Mis, so it's like kind of, I mean, it's romantic, isn't it? It's also depressing. You think the men would be interested in it, but no, not to be stereotypical.
They'd be more interested in Act 2. It's a bit more like gunshot.
Yeah. But I feel like it just happens a lot where a couple would come and the man would like try and sit on their phone during the show whilst the woman was like watching intently, and I was like, what are you doing? Get off.
Yeah, like, people that don't want to be at shows really piss me off.
Do you remember that TikTok that went around when Broadway was still open? Of that girl that went to Waitress because of the because never giving what now? What was I trying to say?
I will never
getting rid of me. There we go, from Waitress. Like a tiny clip of that was like trending on TikTok, like it was a sound that everyone was using. So she went to Broadway to watch the show just for that song basically, but sang along, and she filmed it. She filmed herself singing along to that song, and the whole Broadway community was like, everyone was like, oh my day. And then she like did an apology video, but she didn't really apologize because she was like, I was just enjoying myself, and everyone was like, you're just enjoying yourself, and then they're singing along over the actor and filming. So yeah, people that are not really that into it, it's just
Thanks for buying a ticket, but why are you here?
It's fine, like if you've gone to see a show and you think you're gonna like it, and then you're sat there and you're like, I'm not enjoying this. But when someone just evidently from the beginning does not want to be there, and they go to the bar and they just look so done already, and you're like, the show hasn't even started.
Like, but also I think when people go see a show but they just don't actually care, you make it worth yourself. Like if you try to give it a chance,
Yeah.
There'll be at least one or two things you can actually be like, oh, that was actually quite good. I quite enjoyed that, and then make the whole show more enjoyable. Whereas if you sat down being like, this is gonna be shocking, it just is shocking. That's all you want to see.
It's like if you went to the cinema and you were like, oh, this film's got Amanda Seyfried in it, so I'm not gonna like it. You're not gonna like it, are you? Because you've just told yourself you're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
If you sit down and you're like, it's got an actor that I don't like in it, but like it could be good and they might be really good anyway, but like, yeah.
Your next one.
Moving swiftly onwards, my next one is a very London, West End one that some people might not actually get. It is the wonderful Wetherspoons pub, the Montague Pike, which is on Tottenham Court Road.
Very personal experience for you, but okay.
No, it's not. This is the thing. So Mark and I were in there one time and we were having our dinner. We were kind of finished. I had some chips left. He had some chips left. We were like grazing. And this random woman came in and like just came over to the table and she was just like, are you done? And started eating my chips off my plate. And I was like, hello, okay, what are you doing? And someone kicked her out. Turns out she was homeless and apparently she comes in all the time and tries to take people's food. So that's my experience with it. It was a bit random. But so many people in the West End, like performers or like just people like audience members, have said that the Montague Pike is just like they've just had the most random things happen to them at that pub, and I'm like, we just need to yeet it, just get rid of it, get a new pub there, because it just obviously is cursed from like West End.
Love that. I didn't know that. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, so many people that I've talked to are like, oh my god, the Montague Pike. But it's also like the place that everyone goes when they go and see a show. Either that or the Wetherspoons in.
If every other Wetherspoons in London had pizzas, they'd go there instead. So just one that has pizzas.
It's either that one or the one in Leicester Square. I don't know what it's called. Is it the Dog and something, or
yeah?
I don't know.
And what I thought you were going to say about a very English thing is when Americans come over, they try to take your programs off of you, because that's one of my Room 101 things.
Oh no, that's not on my list, but go for it. That's the front of house one, but sure.
It's definitely a front of house thing, and just a problem.
I feel like people, though, they do get annoyed as an audience member if they hear an American in the audience being like, oh my god, a playbill, or whatever.
I've had that anger in my heart, and I've been like,
we don't even talk about the guy at stage door at Wicked.
Anywho, let's carry on. But yeah, so people trying to take a program. So most of the time there'd be an usher at the front with a program in their hand being like, do you want to buy one? And you see people giving them money for it, and then they take it. Anyway, so this Broadway person comes in and they're like, oh my god, playbill. And I'm like, no. Does it say playbill across the top? I don't think so.
It says the iconic yellow bit. No.
It's a program, and it's also not full of ads.
Sorry,
it'll say like souvenir program or souvenir brochure, not playbill.
It's not just that. It's just that it's like they will literally try and take it from your hand, and you're like, what are you?
And you're like, what
are you doing?
It's that? And they're like, what? How much? And I'm like, £4.50. They're like, what? I'm like, is it not free? I'm like, is it called a playbill? Is it? Does it have ads in it? Not as many ads as the playbill does.
Yeah, but at least the ads in ours are like relevant.
And they're also from the current, like they're usually from like West. They're usually like West End.
Yeah. And they're like a restaurant that's like, if you've booked to see a show with this company, then you can have 10% off, or like we do a pre-show discount thing, or like it like all kind of fit. Whereas the playbills have like one article that's like Renee Rapp, and then the rest is like trash. There's
like the cast list. There's cast list, musical numbers, and then like maybe like one or two actors like have their own page. The rest of it's just complete and utter bull.
It's just trash. It's like the local taxi company, what to do on a Friday night. Like, no. I do like the playbill aesthetic. I like that they are all the same size. That is another thing, but I haven't got it on my list. But playbills are all the same size. They're like the same design, but with different picture, obviously, for different shows. I like that. And it's cool that they're free, which is always a bonus, because Broadway is... Oh, it leads me on to my next one, actually. Broadway ticket prices.
Prices in general. Because I feel like Broadway...
Especially Broadway.
Broadway has done damage for the West End. I was watching this documentary yesterday about Les Mis, and when Les Mis opened at the Palace, most expensive ticket was £40. The cheapest was like £4.
What? Adding an inflation because it was like the 90s. But
however, that's also to do with Broadway, because when Barnum opened at the Victoria Palace as well, the most expensive ticket was £18.
oh,
This is what my mum told me anyway, because she went to see it a bunch of times, and she knows how much tickets were.
was Barnum before Les Mis? Was that opened a bit before?
After it was
No.
like I think like
Also, didn't Les Mis open at the Barbican, not the Palace?
opened at Barbican and then moved to the Palace. But I saw like a thing outside of the Palace. Like the ticket prices for like different levels.
Specifically when it opened at the Palace. So it wasn't at the Barbican for very long. It was like less than a year, I'm pretty sure.
Because it was like a week, and then like Barbican were like, we don't want this show because it's getting really used.
Oh.
Then coming back was, well, I just brought the Palace, so let's move there instead.
You didn't buy the Palace though.
Well, anyway, like I had Palace, we're moving there instead, lads. Yeah. Let's go.
Yes, but Broadway ticket prices. Now, we went and we were thinking, we were like, we're not going to rush ticket because, like, I don't want the stress of being in New York and then not seeing a show that I want to see because we've done Rush and then flopped. Because Rush ticketing in the US is, like, on another scale. Like, people get up at, like, 6 o'clock when the box office opens at 10 and they queue outside the theatre for 4 hours for the Rush tickets. And I mean, we were going on a Saturday and Sunday, so we were screwed. Easy. So we were like, we're just gonna book before we go. We booked Waitress before we booked our flight. That's how extra we were. But like their ticket prices, it's like a minimum of $79 or something. Like I did not see a show that was cheaper than that. Literally. And I found different websites as well. Like I didn't just do Static, like I did a lot of different ones. And I was like, where are the £25 Rush tickets on the app? Like what?
It's the worst. What is that? Like, what is this?
It was horrendous. And I'm like, it's worth it, obviously. But your seats aren't even that good. Like we paid for the cheapest that we could, basically, $79 or whatever. And I mean, no, to be fair, they were good seats. But like, you're not anywhere close to the front. We were like second level up on the edge. We weren't in the centre. We were like
at the back on the edge. Just like that was the cheapest.
They were both good seats. Like I didn't sit in either.
Mean Girls were much better.
Mean Girls was better, but I think it was
centre, but we were like higher up.
I think. How much was our Mean Girls ticket?
Our Mean Girls ticket was more expensive by like $10. So we're like
$89. But even still, although
Mean Girls was not Mean Girls. Waitress was $6.50. Mean Girls was $60.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm booking them.
Actually, if you think about it, that's not that bad.
That's like, I mean, it's like 40 quid and then like 50 quid ish.
I thought it was more like, oh yeah, maybe. But then also, like,
we also have to pay like so much as well, which is just
like the £15 tickets in the grand flips. Like, this is what I'm saying. We have so many options in that one. They have like 2 options. Doesn't matter where you sit in the mezzanine or the orchestra, you have the 2 prices. Like, it's so weird.
Paying cheaper, you're paying expensive. Done.
It's so strange. Like, you just get what you're given. Anyway.
So, something you were talking about a minute ago was bootleggers and recording shows in general. I just want to I don't want to go into detail because we could do a whole video about bootleggers, but I appreciate their work.
When it comes up on my timeline.
But like I also hate you for doing it because you shouldn't be doing it. So.
Sorry, my phone came off silent. Yeah, it is actually illegal, which I don't think people realise sometimes.
Anyway, let's carry
on. Okay, this is like the only one that I feel like you might, I don't know, you might not agree with me. Also, I've only got 2 left.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left.
I'll just talk about yours with you. It's fine. Okay, so this one is Sentimental Man from Wicked. I just feel like it's not needed. We just need to
It so is needed though, because I was Defying Gravity makes no sense because one of the lines in it is literally like, someone told me like to like leave the ground or whatever. I've forgotten the lyric.
Everyone deserves a chance to fly.
Yeah. So everyone deserves a chance to fly. So
yeah.
Defying Gravity makes no sense.
Yeah, but he could have said it at any time.
He needed. And also, I personally, it's quite a sweet moment in the show. It's not needed on the cast recording, but I feel like it is necessary to the story. Because then you realise later on in the show that, spoiler alert, the wizard is her dad.
That is like the biggest spoiler you could have given. I'm going to have to do a spoiler warning in the description now. Spoiler warning, wicked. Because, Mark, you can't say that.
I just did.
What? Look, he could have said that line. What is it? I don't even know. I can't remember. It's not that one, but there is a line where she's like,
Why?
No, it's not though, is it? It is it's like someone once told me. I don't know.
But anyway,
but like he could have said that at any point, like at a different point.
If it's like a more consistent thing, I thought then her being like
the whole song was not needed. It's so bad.
If it was like a little jingle, would have loved it. You know what I would love to
Yeah.
There's a little like Wicked Witch of the East song that Nessa Rose sings.
Oh yeah.
Where's that on the card?
It's like her only bit. It's like her only bit. She needs her moment.
Why is she not the card? I know it's a bit of a wet song. Like it's not. I'm really like. I have no idea what they're actually singing about. They're just kind of doing like little riffs and runs every so often. I'm like.
Yeah, but that's what we live for. So
that should be on the cast recording. Sort your life out. Come on then.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my next thing is talking throughout a show.
I mean, that's just a given. Like,
See, when we do it at respectful times. We do it during the claps.
When the claps are happening, I'm like, oh my god, that riff, or like, being like, did you see Lucy's face when she did this, or did you see whatever? Like, why'd I go Lucy? Why was that my instinct?
That's usually what would happen. Is Lucy like, oh my god, I'm dead.
You're like, Lucy did this thing, and I'm creased.
We made hand movements to signal to each other when we were dying. Like,
yeah. So we didn't speak.
But we both knew what the hand signals meant. But we didn't.
A slap. Be like, a slap just meant I'm done with this show. I'm like, I'm out.
Talking, singing in the show. Don't do it. Put yourself in the.
It doesn't matter if you know the songs because it's a jukebox. You don't sing along until the end.
We haven't paid you to see that. We haven't paid you to sing the songs, so don't sing it. There's paid actors on stage. Don't do it.
Also, just for reference, I said you don't sing along to the end because most jukebox musicals at the end they'll be like, get up on your feet, like, and sing Waterloo from Mamma Mia or whatever, like the song that, because it's a jukebox, they know you know it all. They have a moment.
Yeah, at the end of Bodyguard, there's like a little like Whitney Houston mashup, and she's like, everybody to get hands.
I was gonna say 9 to 5, and then I was like, wait, I don't know if that was it.
That's not a jukebox. The only song that's a jukebox from that show is Back with Barbie.
And 9 to 5. I know, but that's why I was just original. Like, no, I know. That's why I was a bit like, is there though, or is there not a little moment? What's the other one? I was gonna think there's another.
We Will Rock You. They have a little like sped up version of We Will Rock You that they sing right at the end of the show.
Oh my god, that was so good. That's on the cast recording.
Exactly.
And segueing on to cast recordings, we're doing really well. Segueing on to cast recordings, the Mamma Mia original cast recording needs to get in room 101. Thank you. Good night.
Next.
Apart from the overture. Now, the cast recording is just so...
If they updated it, I'll be here for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just so old. They need an updated version. Like, it's 20 years old.
Like Sophie's voice, so like weird. Like, no offense.
It is. It sounds like, I think it's because it's like old technology that they recorded it with.
But it's so like shaky, but it's also so like.
Oh. It's very. They all sound weird though, and I'm like, these people are probably great. or when she's singing Honey Honey, and it's just like slow and weird. I don't know, it's just so
So,
weird.
Mummy, if you're watching, can you re-record your cast recording, please? And thank you.
Cast wise, who do we want?
I mean, is that even up for discussion? But believe you guys think that out. We know what we're talking about.
You guys, put in the comments below or tweet us who you want to be on the Mamma Mia cast recording, and we'll talk to Cami Mac. We'll get it done.
Imagine we had that power.
Imagine. I would love to have
Yes,
the
if
power
Cami
to be like, right.
Show up. Cami Mac would just like, he'll finally put Les Mis in the bin and they'll open up a new show. It'll be fine. Like, I'm joking.
No, we don't want to get rid of Les Mis.
Like Rosmazol or anything. I'm joking. Like, Leo, Dad, put it in the bin. Get a new show in. Come on.
Yes. Also, what the hell is written on? Oh, okay. It's just symbols on my arm. I was like, what's actually in the sleeve?
Wasabi. Or...
It says wasabi in Japanese or something, and then but then this one is actually, it actually says wasabi. It's upside down. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Anyway, do you have any more Room 101?
No. I also had bootleggers, so I'm glad we agree on that.
I mean, bootleggers are one of the things that's universal. Just don't do it.
Mm-mm. I appreciate the content on my Instagram, especially in lockdown times. Like, it's been a blessing to have a little run and pop up. But it's just so annoying. And when you're working as well, and you have to try and catch someone that's like in the middle of like a row, and you're just like waving frantically, but you don't want to distract the rest of the audience, and you're like, oh, what do I do?
Look, I've seen a bootlegger at shows before, and it like oils my piss. Like, I get really like angry, and I just lose focus on the show because I'm like, why are you filming this?
It is the worst. My hat is literally brilliant.
But yeah. So my next one is going to be very controversial.
Don't use that voice. That is your worst voice you ever come up with using in your entire life. Stop it.
Right, my next one is Super Stagey Kids.
Yeah.
Explain this because there's two reasons that I'm going to put them in the bin. One is when they get pissed at understudies being on. You're wrong.
Yes.
Two is when they think they know the show better than you do, so therefore they're more superior than you are.
That's when they come from America and they're like, I've met Idina Menzel 12 times, but we don't speak.
And I'm like, I want to run you over 12 times, but it's fine, no biggie.
I will slap you 12 times.
Anyway, so go with what you're going to say about the first bit of understudies.
Oh, I don't even have anything specific. I'm just like, look, especially when, okay, this is the thing. If they're a super stagey kid, I'm just so frustrated, I don't even know where to start. If they're a super stagey kid, they should know kind of how theatre works. You'd kind of expect that they kind of would know. The fact that they know what an understudy is, right? But it's the fact that they don't really know. Because, like, people don't audition for, like, so many people have said this. They don't audition for Fontaine and then the producer's like, we thought you were good, but like we're going to cast this other person, but you can be the understudy. Like, that's not how it works. You audition to be first cover or second cover, or you audition to be a swing or like ensemble, but first cover Fontaine or Marius or whatever. Like, that was a bit of a mix.
It's in your job description to be the cover of that person.
The fact is ensemble this track, like doing these things, first cover Eponine. Like, I don't think people necessarily remember that, or like they don't even know that. So when an understudy's on, they're like, oh, they're not as good as like the one that plays it all the time. I'm like, no, they are. That's why they got the part. They didn't want to play it all the time because of like it's a big deal, isn't it? If you're playing Fontaine.
It's also not they don't want to play it. It's just that I think some people like, I quite enjoy doing like this because it's more like exciting for me to like be a cover.
Yeah, be on the ensemble, and then sometimes when I'm least
like two shows. Sometimes even like some people like they're like super swings and like super like understudies. But you have to remember like everyone in the cast. You have to remember what everyone did, and then at a drop of a hat, swap their tracks, get onto the like.
Who is it? It was Vicky. and someone else. They played like all. Actually, it could have been a few. They've played like all the six.
Most of the girls in Six, like most of the understudies, have all played all 6 roles.
They call it Swingo. Swing.
Yeah. But Grace was the first one to complete Swingo, obviously.
Grace. Legend.
Because she was the original like understudy. Cause
it was Grace and Vicky.
When the show first opened at Edinburgh Fringe, it was the 6 girls plus, and then it was just 6 girls, and then they went on tour, and they're like, actually, if one of us gets ill, we need someone else.
Yeah, because Fringe isn't long, is it?
No. So then, because they had like some illnesses throughout the time at Edinburgh Fringe, and then they were like, well.
True. Yeah, and then they got Grace and who was it? Was it Maya? No, not Maya. Wait. No.
Yeah.
Who were the understudies? Or swings were
Grace. It was just Grace.
Just Grace.
Yeah, for the original tour, it was just Grace by herself, was the only understudy.
I didn't know that. I thought there was 2.
No, it was just Grace. And then when the show opened in the West End properly, it was just Grace for like the longest time. And then
6, Jesus.
And then that's when they had all the trouble because like people kept getting ill, people needing holiday, and then they had to start inviting like the people from the studio recording back in.
Yeah.
They had like a really weird like
a random mix, and then Toby?
Then they hired Vicky and Courtney
Stapleton.
And then
that's who I was trying to think of.
Was born. And ever since then, there's now like 6 of them. There's like a cast of 12 now. Because they have like understudies for the understudies.
Yeah, because they had such a drama. But yeah, Super Stage.
They have a whole new like cast. So literally everyone's ill. We've got this still.
Yeah, but super stagey kids that don't appreciate the fact that an understudy is on or blah blah blah. Like, and they're like, oh, this is gonna be trash. Yeah, I'm like, get
back
in the
a time I can tell you about this was when I one of the times I saw Wicked. Lauren Pick. Anyway, she was the original, like she's standby Elphaba.
Yeah.
And people like when she's on, people are like, oh, I don't want to see it because she's on, and I'm like, okay. So I went to see her because I went to like specifically see her because she was on, and I was like, okay. And she's one of the best Elphabas I've ever seen. And I think it's purely because her voice was more rested.
Yeah.
And she kind of had her own interpretation of the role. Because usually the reason that they're understudy is because they can do it really well that like one day or like that week, but like consistently their voice also might not be able to like live up to that, and they know that.
Like Elphaba.
Because like with young people as well, because young people don't tend to have the same amount of like vocal strength and capability that an older person can have, and that is why.
Another thing also is what is it? When it's a big role like Elphaba or Jean Valjean, they have one day a week. They will always be off that day of the week, and the first cover will do that. So they'll have a week. Stand by that. So there's so many words.
Yeah, isn't it fun?
How are we doing for time, by the way?
We're on 6 minutes, 7 now.
Okay.
So
just 1 sec, because my phone's literally on 8%. And I don't know why it's not charging. I just thought I'd let you know.
Okay.
We've gone down to 7. I mean, we can continue, but I might have to unplug my light for a hot sec and plug it into the portable charger and have a bit of a drama, but it's fine.
Should we pause for a brief recess?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So, my last 2 are latecomers.
Ooh. Yes.
I've been one. I did not like.
I have been one twice. One was worse than the one. One was really bad.
I tell the story.
Can I tell the story?
You told the story last week.
Did I? I briefly said, I said where I was sat. Yeah, I was front row of Mamma Mia and I was late by about 15 minutes, and they took us in midway through Thank You for the Music, and yeah, it's really embarrassing. And then the second one was with you when we went to Six.
I got in just for like Divorce.
You heard Divorced and I heard Died by the time they took me in. But we both had to. No, you did you get to sit down straight away?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got in. I think I got in at Divorced actually, but I was just outside the door at Divorced, but she took me down halfway through the song because there's like a few bits in that song when they're not singing, they're talking. So she took me down like it was only like I only had to wait like 2 minutes. It wasn't that bad, but yeah, it was. Oh, it's so mortifying. Less so with Six because it's like a smaller theatre. It's less embarrassing. But could you imagine like, let's say Wicked, you were front row of Wicked, like in the middle, or like front or like first few rows, but in that middle section.
I just remember the Wicked's latecomers, like halfway through.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What is this feeling? People just started like coming down, and I was like.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know how theatre works, briefly explanation, here we go. So, I don't know about many shows, but there are certain points in shows, especially musicals, where you take the ushers will take the people that have arrived late. So you have to hold them back. They have to watch it on the screen for literally like it's like 10 minutes max, depending on the show. And so just so that you're not disrupted, you're like, it's minimal disruptment. Just, yeah. So like, it's like in the claps at the end of it. So like one of the ones from Les Mis, for example, is After I Dreamed a Dream, there's always a massive clap because that's really hard with Les Mis as well because it's constantly running. So like there's always singing. So you're always going to be distracting.
Yeah.
At the end of I Dreamed a Dream, there's a big old clap. You take them in then. But yeah, Wicked, halfway through, what is this feeling? Just took them in and we were like, okay, because also we worked at the theatre by that point, so we were watching, we were like, what the heck? It makes you more aware of like how other theatres run. It's really weird, even if it's in the same company, like a different DMT theatre or a different LW theatre, like it's just really strange. You're like, oh, not like judging, but you're like, oh, that's different to how we have been told, because you just have different managers as well. Like it's pretty cool.
Weird, isn't it?
But latecomers that don't give an F or are really rude to the ushers, being like, well, why can't you take me in? It's like, I've literally just explained that you're going to disrupt the whole audience, because it depends where you're sitting as well. If they're on the end of a row, it's not going to be much of a, but like if they're literally in the middle of the stalls, it's like, we have to wait. We can't just take you in right this second. It's just.
It's also the same when you go to the toilet as well. If you go to the toilet and you can't, if you go to the toilet and it's like hard for you to get back into the road, the usher would usually hold you for like 10 minutes and just be like,
but that's why you have toilets inside, so it's less disrupting than opening a full-on like massive door at the back of the show and you have to wait outside. At least you can come back out.
No, people see you leave, so they know you're going to come back in a minute.
So yeah.
I had a great one once, and this was at the end of Waitress, and we were front row. And I needed the loo, and it was just after everything changes, I ran to loo and managed to get back before like Lulu had been like revealed.
It was impressive actually, and you weren't held back or anything, were you?
No, I just ran in and out, and I was like, bam, bam.
You were at the end of a row, to be fair, as well.
It's also like I literally stayed in within the blackout. I was pretty great. I was like.
I mean, not a blackout, but like, it was impressive that you were very quick. But I'm sure they noticed on stage. They do. It's quite a light show. You can see everything. Like, excuse me, this is my moment.
Anyway, so my last one is one thing that really, really, really like peeves me off.
I'm stressed.
And it's when people that do Andram shows tag the West End actors in
yes.
So when they tag, like, for example, I'm playing Jenna, so I'm going to tag Lucy Jones in my post, and also like 8 other people that have also played Jenna.
All the Jennas ever.
Because I want them to know that I'm playing their role.
I played their role. Yeah. And no. Why would you do that?
Is your life that sad that you have to tweet at the actors?
Mm-mm.
I mean, I'm in your show.
I'm doing your show at my terrible Amdram, terrible compared to, West End standard. This is my terrible costume because we're poor. Look, no, you wouldn't want to embarrass yourself like that.
So when people do that, it makes you really like.
I get when people just like cover it, or if from their Amdram they like post a video being like, this was my rendition of what they can do, and like they want to tag the musical to see if someone can see it or whatever. I could get that to an extent because it's just like you're covering the song, and people do covers all the time and tag the artist.
True.
Maybe just the show though, maybe not the actor. But
yeah, tagging the actor makes people really sorry for you.
It's just a bit.
What I've come to, where you need to like DM the actor, being like, "Hi, I played your role."
I get if it like
medal.
Yeah, it's like okay. I've done it once where I tagged. I don't know why, but I did Mamma Mia, and I tagged Mamma Mia musical. Like I did their at. I was like, had a great show last night doing at Mamma Mia musical. Got to play my favourite part of Sophie or whatever it was. And I don't know, like looking back, I don't know why I tagged them. And I didn't feel they didn't like.
I'm disappointed in you and for you.
It got like 2 likes, so no one really saw it apart from the person that was currently playing Sophie, which was very strange. But we move on, because she wasn't tagged. It was just the musical. But we move on. But like, I don't know why I did it, but it's not the worst.
No.
It could have been worse. I could have tagged, like you say, every single West End Sophie that's ever existed and been like, look, I'm amazing.
Oh, actually, I just thought of another thing that don't really fun is dreamcasting. Don't tag the actors in your post.
You can dreamcast all you want, like create your dreamcast. We do it all the time, but don't tag them because they might. The thing is, you don't necessarily think of it. They might be running. They might have auditioned. That might have been their dream part. They might have auditioned and not got it, like multiple times as well. And it could just be like another, like, yes, I know, I want to do it too. Yeah, and
sometimes it's not very nice, so don't do it.
Don't tag people in the dreamcast. Do it all you want, like post about it if you want, but like don't tag them.
We've got a whole Google Drive full of our dreamcasts.
Yeah, we have. We that's how we entertained ourselves at the beginning of quarantine.
Sims and Dreamcast.
Yeah, especially for shows that hadn't come over to the UK yet.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for listening, watching, partaking in today's episode. I know. I really hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next week.
Yes, and please comment down below or tag us or whatever, and put what your Room 101 would be. I want to know. Or comment like on our Instagram or whatever. Like, please tell us. I want to know if I agree, or if it's like something I hadn't thought of.
And if you'd like to, I might do a part 2. I'm sure I can think of more things.
Think of them. We could think of bajillion.
Anyway,
okay.
I'll see you next week.
I will see you next week too. Bye.